Week 3.
Hello, welcome to day 1 of week 3 of Split 1 of the 2019 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson, and I am happy to be back with all of you, and I'm happy to be joined by my two favorite people sitting on a couch in this room right now. It's Rusty and King Leonidas, apparently. How are you?
Greetings, how are you?
Greetings. I thought you were going to take that off. I didn't think you'd actually commit to it, but
I got told it looked good.
It does.
That person
It
lied.
suits you.
That person
No,
lied.
you look great. You look great.
That person was my partner, Nick. Are you calling him Jenna a liar?
I am. Jenna puts up with a lot. Welcome back, guys. It's been a week.
It has.
Thank God it's over, and we get to watch some League of Legends again.
Exactly. We get more League of Legends on your screen, more OPL. It feels like the days are going really quick, though. I don't know about you, but...
Yeah, I said to Bryce, it kind of feels like there's 3 days only in my week. There's Sunday, which I actually get to do nothing. So God bless Sunday. And then there's scrim days, where I just sit there and go over scrims. And then there's OPL days, where I sit there. By the way, for those that don't know, this is Spawn under the mask. I sit here on broadcast days and I do broadcast stuff. So it's literally just 3 days in a 7-day week.
You live this weird Sisyphean loop hell
I do.
lifestyle.
And
By
I
the way,
kick people into wells.
You do.
Yeah.
I've been watching the AV documentary on YouTube.
Yeah.
You've got a very likable team.
I think so as well.
I disagree.
You don't think so?
Yeah, they beat
Okay.
my team. I hate every single one of them.
I want you to
Hate them as
rank
a
the
brand.
team from
Hate the
least
color
likable
blue or yellow or whatever the heck it is.
to most likable.
Least to most?
Yeah.
Out of all the 8 teams?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we shouldn't include order.
No, we can include order.
I would put order
I
at
can be
8.
I can be
God.
unbiased about order.
Okay.
So I will erase the teams that I don't know well enough.
Okay.
So I don't know Direwolves well enough.
Yep.
And I feel like I don't know Legacy well enough.
Yep.
But every other team I know very well, I feel. I would say that it would go Gravitas,
Yep.
number 1 likable team. I don't actually think there's someone on Gravitas that, they can't play League of Legends, but they are very, very nice people.
Most wholesome mid laner in the league.
And Praylist is very
Oh my
wholesome,
God.
Pabu's real
We've
wholesome.
been on air for 70 seconds.
So Gravitas are the most likable. Then I would say probably, honestly, Chiefs or Order. Then I would say you guys, and then I would say Mammoth. No, Bombers are pretty nice as well. And I don't know the Koreans all that well. So Bombers are in there somewhere. I would say Mammoth at the moment, they're not likable people. The thing is everyone in the OPL is nice, but I have less in common with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're
What
also
about
all
you?
business.
You want me to rank
Yeah,
as well?
who's your most likable team?
Direwolves.
You like Direwolves?
They are just so nice. They're always smiling and happy and it's contagious.
They haven't
you know?
been broken by the OPL yet.
Yeah,
Not at
the
all.
thing.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
Yeah. I think that the common thread seems to be that the longer
You've
players
been
have
here,
been in the OPL, the more it's just they've been better. Mine is I think all 7 teams are great, and then order.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
What
mine.
rationale behind that?
Well, I think you put forth an authoritarian vibe.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think deliberately order
I think it's a
is
helmet.
designed. I think the helmet is definitely not helping.
Doesn't help.
But it's been a good time ranking all these people and making sure that they all feel bad about themselves before the day starts.
Everyone should feel great.
Everyone should feel great. And speaking of feeling great or feeling bad about yourself, just depending on how you use social media, you should check out the OPL Instagram, which is at Oceanic Pro League. Every day there's awesome pictures going up, but also during Friday and Saturday nights, Lauren, our social media guru, is putting up behind-the-scenes content that you can check out from the broadcast. I believe there's a video up there now of Bryce kind of hugging an ironing board. And it's very weird, and apparently that's what you do on the internet.
It's also kind of weird because Bryce has no idea how to iron shirts. So I don't know why he's hugging an ironing board.
It's why he
and
always
not
wears
only that,
jumpers.
it legitimately, and he also doesn't iron the back of his shirt. So if you ever see Bryce in an event, front of the shirt might look great, back of the shirt 100% guaranteed to be creased.
Absolutely. Or maybe he's got some of those clamps to hold the shirt together tighter.
Oh,
So
true.
that he looks fitter. We're going to go to the schedule now. There's enough talk about Bryce's clothes. Today, we're checking out Mammoth versus Direwolves. Then we've got Bryce's Untidy Boys, Gravitas versus the Chiefs. It's then Bombers versus Avant. And rounding out the evening, we have Order versus Legacy.
And I have an apology to make at the top of the show because I said Bombers and Avant were in the battle for first place when Chiefs are right now holding outright first because they have the head-to-head over both teams. So apologies to the Chiefs organization. You are currently first. In saying that, Game 3, definitely game of the week. I think your boys going up against Bombers. I want to know, spicy picks. What's coming our way? Mordekaiser? What about Yorick? I figure if you're just going to go through the shadow. What about mid lane Hecarim.
There's a lot of things coming out, Sport, but you know as well as I do that I can't say anything before we play the game. Like, that would be pretty silly. There's teams listening to us.
That would be,
No
but
one watches this
also,
broadcast.
like, maybe a bold move. You get in their heads because they're like, is he telling the truth? He's not telling the truth? I don't know.
We'll go with Yorick then.
All right, we're going to see what happens. Speaking of other things that have happened, we've got a new cast member with us. Devon Pyrotechnics Young joins us all the way from Germany and China and America. And
I've been everywhere.
you've been everywhere, man.
Thank you very much, Nick Boy. Yeah, I've also been presented with a traditional Australian dish. I believe it is called meat pie.
I believe so too.
Yeah, I don't know what
correct
that is.
pronunciation.
I'm American. We don't have this, but it smells delicious. I can't wait to eat it. I don't know when I'm going to get that chance. I've been told I have to do a champ select.
You need to do it. You have 30 seconds to eat it before Champ Select.
Okay.
We've got a different Australian food for you before every game, which we voted on by the chat last week. Something else that you need to do, and you probably already have done, is pick your spicy tips, because of course we do spicy tips here. Mainly I do spicy tips, and everyone else just watches. The picks today. Ooh,
Oh, dear.
Not spicy top and bottom, but in the middle, there's some room for Bryce to really go down hard.
This really is a battle of the coaches, isn't it, as well? I respect Bryce a lot. He's gone for his team this time around. It's I would say, improvement from the last time.
Absolutely.
I think that may actually be the difference here, which coach wins or loses their game.
Also, Pyro's just jumped on the AV train in what is also probably an uphill battle in that game. So, yeah, you two versus me. Let's go.
I haven't picked them correctly once, so maybe I'm the curse, and this time, I bet on them, and they're gonna lose.
Oh,
But
so you're
maybe
doing
I
me a
break the
favor.
chain.
Yeah, okay.
Get a little-
This is
get a little
the first time
Silas
we've had
action in here.
unanimous order outside of week number 1 when we let everyone down stupendously.
It
Yes.
very well could be. Yeah.
Welcome back aboard the hype train.
I was still on it, mate.
It would be a real shame if it was now too heavy to get back across the line again.
We do need some consistency from him, I'll say that much.
So let's get into the rest of the list for the first game because it's time to get cracking. We've got Mammoth versus Direwolves, and I'm going to say Gerard Butler from 300. Why don't you talk us through Mammoth?
Of course, mere mortal. Of course, we've got Fantix in the top lane, going to be leading this brave troop of men against the Persians at the hot gates. It's going to be Topoon in the top lane, Babib in the jungle, Triple in the mid lane, and then, of course, King and Destiny playing 80 carry and support. And speaking about 300,
Please.
I actually listened to a podcast about 3 weeks ago. It's called King of Kings, and I
the one
believe
that I'm
Rusty is
listening to right now.
right now. And we think about this in a very strange way about, democracy versus a free people against like tyrants and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I just think the Persians are very misunderstood. Don't know where I'm going with this, but I just thought it would be good for everyone to know about that podcast.
Well,
That's a good podcast.
I think everyone at home should go listen to that podcast, and we'll all have a big in-depth discussion.
It's only about
it.
15 hours, by the way. It's a short one.
It's a short one.
Yeah.
It's just one massive short podcast. Okay, cool. Well, we'll learn about the Persians, and I'll come back and update you guys. In the meantime, Rusty, update us about Direwolves.
Sure thing. I don't think a whole lot will have changed with, I guess, the Persians in this case. Xerxes is the coach behind them. Coach Charlie, of course, will be the on-stage coach. No, of course, I meant Sharp when I said Xerxes. Biopanther is your top laner. Udisoft in the jungle. Get back in mid. Andrew and Corporal down in the bottom lane. And this is still a case of trusting the process for the Direwolves, but they've had a few more days. They've had some more scrims to put down and some practice to have. And surely we'll see some further progression.
And of course, if Charlie is Xerxes, then Sharp would have to be Darius, the
Oh,
great
true,
leader that
true.
built up the Persian Empire to its former heights. Now, obviously, Xerxes or Charlie leading them into what will be a shellacking defeat if my prediction comes true. Mammoth really need to turn their season around right now. This has been... they're 2-2, right? And I'm like, Orders 2-2? We're doing okay. And then it's so strange to be like, Mammoth 2-2, that's a disaster.
Yeah.
But this team expected to be 4-0. And they've lost to 2 big opponents in both Avant as well as the Bombers. And they need to be able to get it together now, I feel like, and have some wins.
And there is a weird trend with Mammoth, and it's something that I just want to bring to attention before the game starts, is that they lose on Fridays and that they win on Saturdays. And whether it's they come into the first game, they're like, oh, wake up call, do well on the second day is to be determined. But there is a trend potentially starting to crop up.
And very quickly, I'm going to say the chat is all on board this podcast idea.
It's called King of Kings by Dan Carlin.
Halo says Greeks are better than Persians. Frey101 says... Navutian says because the Greeks wrote history, that's why the Persians are getting such a bad rap.
Absolutely.
Which I think is a
that's
very
true.
good point. And then Frey says, I'm going to go listen to the podcast. Stay, please, because we'll finish tonight, and then you can go listen. But if you do want to look at something else on the screen, you can check out King on our Twitter page. We're going to be following King
got
as
it.
the POV for today's game. So go to twitter.com/OPL and you can see King's POV stream there. And for now, I'm going to hand it over to the new boy who's down under and the dirtiest boy in the OPL, Bryce.
Thank you very much from Nick Boy. Now, yes, I've been told I have to start eating this, so I'm going to go immediately into it as we get ready for Mammoth versus Direwolves. Bryce, tell me what you're excited about for this game.
First of all, I'm excited to see you watch a meat pie. This is a very un-Australian opinion, but meat pies are kind of just not that great. So I feel like you've started off with
Low expectations.
like I'm kind of giving you low expectations here. So already,
Well, I mean, I have watched Gravitas.
Oh, okay. The start of this
Sorry,
show.
I had to give one
The
in.
start of this show has just been absolute flame from left, right, and center. But okay, we are going to talk about League of Legends at some point.
Please, go ahead, kick us off.
Mammoth versus Direwolves will be a fairly interesting matchup. Like they just kind of hit it on the couch. Mammoth haven't won on a Friday. This is a Friday game if you are superstitious, but this should be an absolute shellacking. This should be Direwolves. They are the only 0-4 team right now. Mammoth, of course, they have had an underwhelming start to the split, but I feel like this should certainly be a one-sided affair. How you going?
That's not bad. It's
Okay.
not as dry as I expected it to be, completely honest.
Oh, okay.
But I think you have a point about Mammoth and how that they've been disappointing, but they should very cleanly win this. If they don't, that's when I think we have to start getting a little worried.
Yeah.
About their chances, their contention chances going forward.
Yeah, certainly, because like they have had like close games to some of the better teams when they have versed some of the lower teams in like they've played Legacy, they've played Gravitas, they've had very convincing victories in those games. So I expect coming into today that they can kind of like put the Direwolves to sleep, that they can come in here. Nice, that's very sophisticated of you.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they can come in here and they can like kind of smack them around a little bit. But to talk about the flip side of the coin in Direwolves as well, Rusty really hit on exactly what their setup is right now, and it is the process, and it does take time. They have been very impressive. They obviously are 0-4 right now, but they have been very impressive in all of their losses. Haven't won a game, but they haven't been getting smashed. So it's like
That's the point.
kind of two things. Expectations coming into this, I expect Mammoth to smash them and Direwolves to put up a very good fight.
And that's the thing. All of Direwolves' games seem to have been close. They're kind of like a meat pie without any sauce on top. They've got all the ingredients for a successful meal, but they're just missing that little bit
What
that
sauce?
makes it tasty.
What sauce? If you say
in
tomato, I'm gonna be-
in Direwolves' case, or in this
in
meat
your
pie's
case, in Pyrotechnics case.
what would I like? I would go for like, I don't know, like sour cream or something.
That is what? That is way too fancy, bro. Come on.
Yeah, but with a little bit of like cheese on top, you know, like it's a baked potato.
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting choice. You
Well, you
definitely
put me on the spot.
you
I had to
didn't-
pick something
you
I like.
Didn't pick tomato or barbecue, which are
No.
realistically the only two options. If you go into a bakery and you order a meat pie, you get those little tiny sachets. Maybe you don't
I
even
don't know what
this.
you put on a meat
Yeah,
pie.
you
This
you
is
have
my
no
first meat
idea.
pie.
But this should be like a barbecue sauce. It should be a tomato sauce. But
You
of
said
course,
no tomato sauce.
Yeah,
You were-
well,
you
I
were
just
setting
think
me up.
tomato sauce is it's just a bad sauce. I feel
All
like
right.
the chat is probably going to disagree with me, but barbecue is
Well,
definitely
tell you
supreme.
what, let's get the chat involved and tell us what you think is the best. But let's talk about League of Legends for now, because we're starting things off here. Mammoth on blue side will start off by banning Aurelia and Urgot. On the opposite side, Direwolves get rid of Aatrox and Lucian. And this is the first game we'll have on patch 9.2,
Yeah.
Bryce. So tell me, what do you expect to change, if anything?
A few things have changed. Namely, I'm a support player. I'm very sad with what happened to Rakan. His W is so goddamn slow. He kind of just got absolutely removed from the pool. Direwolves, especially in this game, they are a big Rakan team, so that kind of hurts them a little bit. But these 6 bans were kind of the OPs on last patch, and they're still kind of the OPs on this patch. Cassio got a meme of a nerf in her, like,
She's literally gotten every single ban
yeah,
so far.
100% ban rate in the OPL so far. Red side feels like it's the must ban because blind pick Cassio can go into multiple lanes in the bottom lane. It is super oppressive. But this, okay.
We've got Silas
Yes.
enabled, and he gets immediately locked in by Tapoon. So, talk to me about the Unchained.
He is a very interesting champion. We had a little segment, I don't know if you saw it last week, talking about what we think from this guy. And it's like, oh yeah, his ulti seems like a little bit of a gimmick. Like, if the enemy team doesn't pick ults that are super valuable, then
I mean, if you
could
don't,
just
you kind
get
of
denied.
gimp your chances,
Yeah.
don't you think? Like, already you've got 2 very powerful ultimates on the other side,
Yeah.
in Kai'Sa and Lissandra.
Well, like Kai'Sa, maybe not so much, but Lissa's very potent. But Silas,
Yeah.
I've seen running around in solo queue because we haven't seen a competitive game yet, right? So this is from solo queue. But he seems absolutely bonkers. I have seen Topoon and Triple, I was in a bunch of their games, and they were just like blind picking it, both of them on Mammoth here, and they've played it in multiple roles. I've seen both of them pick it up, so this isn't just a guaranteed top pick. It isn't just a guaranteed mid pick. I've seen it played in the jungle, I think to less effect, but he can just be, if he gets ahead, he is a very difficult champion to put down. He gets his W, gets super potent healing back.
Yeah,
Like,
he's got a lot of sustain, and he does
Yeah.
more damage if he's the one who's in good health shape. So it's a very versatile champion choice. And then you look at what Mammoth is building around this already. They've got a good amount of poke. They've got potential to get a lot of catches between all of this. And what I've seen from Sylas in my solo queue games, which are not anywhere near on the level that you play at, he sticks to you. Like, absolutely like glue. And he will steal your ultimate, he will beat you down with it. And I think BioPanther might have a rough laning phase with this Scion.
I mean, well, yeah, of course, with the Zoe locked in, that's going to be just like a blind or a mid pick into the Lissandra. Comps are kind of rounded out. Both of these teams have now dropped support. They've dropped jungle, so I expect those two pools to get pinched in the second ban phase. But I think I want to know one thing extra that people who haven't seen Sylas don't necessarily understand is like he takes the ulti, but then it gets the AP ratio. Sylas, depending on what he builds, I've seen full AP and more bruiser variants. If this is a full AP Sylas, you expect a Scion ulti to do a little bit of damage when it comes from a Scion. When you have a full AP Sylas hitting you with a Scion ulti, that's gonna hurt. That does so much more damage.
I know he does the same animations because I've seen Sylas take like ults of like Luxes and things like that, but does he make the sound, the Scion
like
sound?
the big dong?
Yeah, not just the dong, but also like the shouting.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually.
We're gonna have to watch to find out.
We'll find out.
I want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. But let's look at these bans again, because you were talking about jungle. We've already seen one jungle removed. It's going to be the Kha'Zix taken off, but also it's been very support focused. So not only the Tahm Kench, but the Alistar gets removed by Mammoth.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense here, I think. Global pressure in Tahm Kench is very potent when you put him with an Ezreal. I say this almost every week, but King and Destiny are a bottom lane that I don't think they're necessarily going to lose to Andrew and Corporal, but if they need to play weak side, they are very good at that style, and Tahm Ezreal is very good at that style as a champion duo, right? So it makes a lot of sense to remove that one. And on the other side of the coin, you see Mammoth, of course, with a Zoe, with this, what may be a Camille lock-in, but they have this jungle pick here, and they probably want to be playing top side of the map. It makes sense to remove volatility like the Alistar, like the Thresh, so just getting rid of a few standard supports here and makes a lot of sense.
When we talk about volatility, though, we've got a Camille locked in. That should be the jungle choice, and then there's going to be for Destiny, the Morgana. This screams catch composition to me, Bryce.
Yes, somewhat does. They have a whole lot of single target burst, of course, like Sylas has his ulti, he can go in, but you have Zoe, Bubble, you have Camille locking a single target down. There isn't a lot of super useful targets here to go on, like Lissandra, she's squishy, but she has her ultimate, she'll get a Zhonya's. Kai'Sa seems to be the one that will get picked on the most, you expect, but both these team comps locked in now, and interesting stuff across the board.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about some general composition stuff, but also about specific champions. Looking at the two of these, if you take the nameplates off, Mammoth and Direwolves, who do you actually favor composition-wise?
Composition-wise, in the OPL stage day, I'm a big fan of ease of execution. So there's a whole boatload of tankiness and a whole boatload of CC on the Direwolves comp, right? They have buttons to just go in, force a fight, and if they win the fight, they win the game. If not, they lose the game. It's a very simple composition to play.
And you have to think for players, a lot of them coming up from the OCS, these are fresh faces still, minus the likes of BioPanther and Ubisoft.
Yeah, when you put nameplates back on, it makes sense for this team, right?
They want to try and ease into it, and this is a mountain to climb, right? Mammoth is still a very good team, despite the fact that they've disappointed to their own expectations, and I think to a lot of fan expectations. This will by no means be an easy test for the Direwolves still in the hunt for their first win.
Yeah, because you put on the flip side of the coin, right? And there's not a single tank on Mammoth's lineup. Like Topoon on Sylas will be an off tank at best. Camille full damage, Zoe full damage. They have a mage support, which will be very good against the Braum in lane. That is just like a hard counter matchup. Very difficult to play from the Braum side of things, but this is a very squishy and a finesse comp, I like to call it. Like this is, if you ever get behind, very difficult to play from Mammoth. They certainly have options, but if they do fall behind, like resists are just so potent, and they will struggle to do damage to these very tanky boys if that sort of thing happens.
Yeah, you have to think that's going to be a little bit of a struggle if they don't get off to the right start. Now, Mammoth have had a couple of up and down weeks. So you talked about the curse, losing on Friday, winning on Saturday. Maybe this is where they break that curse. Only 2 weeks in, you got plenty of time to turn it around.
Yeah, they certainly do.
All right, well, we're getting
this could be it.
Underway for sure, and definitely want to see what Direwolves can pull out in this one, because it will be just such a tough test. If Mammoth, obviously it's on them to cleanly win this.
Yep.
If they lose, that starts to beg some questions. What is really this team's deal? What is their placement? We come into the split looking at them as potentially a top 2 team,
absolutely.
with Bombers. If they lose to Direwolves here, I think that conversation completely fades away.
Yeah, I think certainly so. Like they have said multiple times that they are underwhelmed with their start. They have multiple OPL winners on this team. Triple and King, Destiny from back in the day when he was on Direwolves as well. So this is kind of like individual versus the org as well. This is Triple and King from their ex-team of just last split. Coach Fantix from Direwolves as well. There's a lot of bad, like, not necessarily bad blood, but there is investment between the players and these two organizations that are facing off right now.
Definitely some familiarity. And speaking of Coach Fantix, we are actually joined by him right now. And I know we've been talking a little bit of uncertainty about your team, Fantix. Are you a little bit concerned with the way Mammoth started off the split?
I mean, obviously, like, as a team that's that has a goal of like taking the split, obviously, at bare minimum.
Yep. Oh, okay. That's
that is very
I like
bold.
that.
Yeah,
I like
obviously
you to mix
we are
words.
to a bit of a slow start, and taking, you know, from just a lesson from last week where we're not going to underestimate anyone we play against, including the Direwolves.
Yeah, okay, that certainly makes a lot of sense. And, like, it's obviously a bold call to be like you guys want to win at minimum. I feel like with the roster that you guys have put together, like that is kind of the expectation. Were you a large part in putting together these players specifically in the offseason? We're talking a few months back, but were you involved in that process?
Oh yeah. I was heavily involved in the just the selection process of the players. Yeah, it was a very long process, and in the end, I thought these guys were the best guys to do the job.
Okay, that certainly makes a lot of sense. And I want to talk about the rookie of your lineup in Topoon, of course. The rest of your names are people that every OPL fan will know about, but he's brand new. Talk to me what he's like, where did he come from, like what he's like as a player?
Yeah, so he kind of fades in and out of he faded in and out of solo queues starting from like last year, and every time like I just saw him in my games, I was like, wait, damn, who's this guy? He's actually pretty good.
Damn, yeah.
And yeah, and then after a while, I got to know him a little bit better, and I had a chat with him, and his goals seemed to align with ours. So yep, I thought he was the top laner to take.
To take the split.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. And you've put him on this Silas in the first
Silas,
availability.
yeah.
Obviously, this champion's had a lot of press from a lot of people. Why do you particularly think that he's going to make such a big splash early on?
We've just been testing it, and testing's been going good. We think that also just the surprise element of having a champion that's been available for less than a week is a good thing in competitive. But I'm sure that all the other teams are aware of what this champ can and can't do.
Doing their due diligence. Of course, it's like first week of Silas being available everywhere in terms of international as well, but it's your literally first game of the OPL.
Oh yeah, we are.
So that has a lot of merit to it, but also I just want to get, I'm not going to ask you the specifics of Silas, right? Because this is some team information, but give me a very vague, like, obviously he's not garbage because you first picked him, but is he okay? Is he good? Is he absolutely broken? Where do you put him on the tier list?
Like any new champ, it's still pretty hard to figure out. I think his kit compared to some other junglers in recent releases isn't as complicated. So obviously there's still a bit of uncertainty whether like exactly how good this champion is.
Yep.
But as far as our priority on the champion, it's just based on like how testing has gone. So we do think it's a pretty solid champion.
Yeah.
All right. Expecting to see a lot more of him. Thank you very much for joining us, Fantix. Looks like we're right in for first blood, though. Udasoft on his blue. Babip is going to take him down. And he just came and stole his lunch money.
Yeah, that is a very rough start. This is not another camp cleared, right? This is just red straight away going towards the blue buff. Olaf taken out of the game very quickly. Babip is a guy who I think does this a fair amount. We don't see it in competitive too much, but this is a full pressure bottom lane, double ranged into a very weak level 1 of the Kai'Sa and the Braum. So they are guaranteed priority down here. There's no fear of a collapse. Udasoft got low doing his blue buff. Camille walks over, and he knows he's dead. He doesn't burn the flash, but Babip, that's a very easy first blood.
Yeah, that's going to certainly help in what the composition's goals are. I mean, it's always great to secure first blood in a 1v1 scenario, but to have Babip basically just come into the jungle, completely decimate Udasoft.
Yep.
As he's on his own blue buff. I mean, it's a statement right there. Now he's not afraid of invading again. He's got double buffs. He's back on the red. Udasoft might be in some trouble. He's going to get full vision. He's going to force the back away.
This is no buff level 2 Olaf, double buff level 3 Camille.
Doesn't
There's
even want the
nothing
red.
he can do.
Goes straight in. This time
Here's
the
the
get back
collapse.
is there. It's going to force the blast cone pop. He does go over the wall. But this is slowing Udasoft down. Triple's here too.
And this just sucks from every front. This is 3 lanes of priority very early on in the game. Silas has the rotate. Zoe has the rotate. Sure, Get Back has the shorter track. And Liss has that dash, so he got there a little bit first. But, this is a very, very incredibly rough first few minutes of the game for the Direwolves.
Yeah, only saving grace here is that Babip's not getting any farm for the jungle either, while Udasoft's completely negated. But you have to think Mammoth are loving the way this is starting right now. And you talked about it being a finesse composition. Well, they kind of finessed all over Direwolves the first couple minutes here. It's a 1,000 gold lead at less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, that is that's a very large lead. Babip may just be looking for round 2 here. Isn't spotted out by the Vision just yet. Will be spotted by the Tri-Bush Ward. So,
all right, let's see how fast he can get in there.
He is.
Sees it.
Respecting the gank is Biopanther. So just sitting back far enough. Here comes the hook shot though.
Ooh, nice. Gonna force the flash out of Biopanther. Do they have enough damage in the tank to take him out? No. Tapoon runs a little bit out of steam at level 4 on that Sylas, but that's the other thing about Sylas, the gap close. He's kind of able to keep up with Babip.
He has the double dash, right? Like the first dash gives you a shield, allows you to look for trades in lane, but the second chain drags you like a Nautilus hook to the champion.
Yeah.
And in every, like after using an ability, his passive is like it's like an AoE whack. Like you just hit everything around you.
Yeah.
So
he whips his chains around.
you E, or like auto attack, you do the second E, you auto attack, you Q again, you apply the slow, look for that, you get another auto attack. Like this is the perfect trade pattern. And then Biopanther, as I was saying, is respecting the gank, steps up just a little bit too far. The engage range of a Camille and a Sylas is definitely pretty good this early in the game. Olaf Udisoft was already low in his jungle doing golems. There's no way that he can contest. So Biopanther loses his flash and yeah, it's rough.
It certainly is. Wouldn't be surprised to see Babip take a trip back there, but he pretty much has the run of the map right now. Going a little bit more into Sylas, though, yeah, I watched him a little bit, obviously, in solo queue, seen him now played here. There's been a lot of hype around him. He kind of feels like, and this is coming from my very non-analytical opinion, he feels a little bit like playing against a more aggressively focused Alawi.
Okay, why? Because he just throws
he throws things
stuff
at you, but he also connects to you rather than waiting for you to come to him. He seems to do well in those tight corners anyways because he covers a wide AoE.
Yeah, because like that's Alawi's literal biggest weakness. It's like, yes, I am a 1v5 team fight monster, but I have absolutely zero capacity to force the team to fight me.
Yeah,
right?
whereas
that's one weakness.
Sylas can do that.
Yeah,
it's not exactly the same. I think it's a good point you talked about how he kind of has a lot of similar tools to other champions as well. But yeah, his AoEs, his play patterns, it feels a little bit like playing into a more aggro Alawi that can actually mess your day up without you getting interface.
Question, is this a skin? I don't know enough. Is this the Sylas
I
skin
actually
or is
haven't
this
seen
base
the skin.
Sylas?
I think this is base. He's definitely shirtless in the base.
Oh, and he's not shirtless in the skin?
I'm not sure about the skin. I actually haven't seen it.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, he's probably shirtless in both because otherwise consistency issues.
Yeah, that's...
You know. But I mean, that's what happens.
Obviously.
Look, you spend a couple years in Demacian Dungeon. They're not exactly going to give you a nice wardrobe.
Yeah, okay.
But he's ripped. It's okay. Oh, hello.
Pain
Train incoming. So is Udisoft.
Nice
He's going to get the knockup. Tapoon is running for it here, but he's going to be forced to burn the flash. Gets away. Udisoft so close to securing that kill, but he does force a summon.
Yeah, they actually get something. That was a stolen Scion ulti to try get himself out of the play. Udisoft flashes in front to deny it. Aftershock is the rune of choice here for Tapoon, so gets the extra resists and maybe did just save his life in the back end of that play. Very nice to get out of that one, but certainly with the resources already, like this Camille lead in the early game, the fact that Biopanther did get ganked early and Tapoon had the pressure, he certainly shouldn't have been in that position, right? This is a blunder from him as a little bit of trading just in the mid lane, but...
Yeah, Get Back has had quite a bit of pressure on him, but he hasn't actually fallen down too hard in farm. It's only a 10 CS difference. Now Babip is making a trip up to the top lane.
Okay.
No summoners on Tapoon as he's teleported back in. Biopanther won't have his ultimate either. Babip doesn't have level 6. He can't Hextech ultimatum this.
There is a flash available for the Camille. That is a very tanky Biopanther. Will take less damage from the Sylas than he will from the Camille, of course, with that Spectre's Cowl. But Biopanther this time is respecting it once again. You can see elsewhere on the map, Mammoth just kind of maintaining pressure all over the place. Triple did a very nice thing just then with his priority. This is a very usual blue buff timing. You expect Olaf to pass down there. You want to give that to Get Back. So Zoe gets cryo, walks in towards the Raptor camp, and all of a sudden Camille will just have absolutely free reign over the top side of the map. And Udisoft will be on vision if he ever goes up there to clear. But across the board, Mammoth, their lead basically halved. Went from 1k to 600, but it is only early days of this game.
That was a good job by the Direwolves, though, to slow the bleeding. I mean, it looked like it was going to be a rough start for them. And this is what we talked about with the Direwolves. They may be the last place team. They're still hunting for their first win. But the fundamentals are there. The team has the basics. It's just they don't have enough, I almost want to say skill at this point, to put it away. When they've had these situations where they're on the cusp of getting a lead or securing it, they've just never really been able to roll that into anything else. And at the moment, they've just stopped the bleeding. Let's see if they can keep it going. The Udasov forced to run Hextech Ultimatum, and there is nowhere for him to go.
Yep.
Trapped between two, and Babbitt claims kill number 2.
Get Back was hanging around looking to try and help out his jungler, but absolutely nothing can be done. Level 5 Olaf, no way to get out of that situation, and just a very easy kill there from Mammoth. Udisoft kind of biting off a little bit more he can chew in the Raptor camp, and the collapse is there.
Sometimes you got to be careful going into enemy jungle uncontested. You should know that. Udasov, former Dire Cub, still has to grow up into a wolf. And
here we go.
To the bottom lane, Destiny flashing forward for those soul shackles. Andrew is already out of there, but Corpo was left for dead. He's forced to burn flash as well.
Yeah,
and another Dark Binding means that King will secure a kill down by.
And this is absolutely not what you expect the Ezreal Morgana to be the lane forcing on the Kai'Sa Braum, right? You expect to just be flinging spells underneath their turret, playing with priority, but they find an opportunity. Andrew and Corpo, we didn't see how that one started up, but it was just straight flash from Destiny, locks them down, and they find themselves a kill.
You don't always expect that, too, just to flash forward. I mean, Morgana is one of those champions that can make those plays, but you're usually looking for a pick, looking for a catch on a Dark Binding. No, flash into melee range, start the Soul Shackles, and then you have a choice. Kill the Morgana, or you will probably die. Now, Tapoon's going in onto Biopanther. He's tanky enough to shrug it off.
And I will say, 2019 things, Olaf being 0-2, maybe one of the better junglers, given now that Redemption is a not trolling build. I will say, Tim Carbon-Wendell definitely, other than Ivan and Nunu, he was the guy that pioneered the Redemption on real champions in a gauntlet game on Lee Sin. Bubble lands, though.
He's got ultimate this time, but can he get out or can he go in? Get Back was there, and they're going to get some revenge to shut down onto Babbitt, and Triple is isolated. Smite down for the health, and in comes the Pain Train! Decimating Smash, but Triple flashing his way out, and it looks like Mammoth are going to get the outplay, or are they? Get Back! One more shot! He gets it! Triple going down, and Get Back getting the kill. Claws his way to freedom. What a play.
And Direwolves find something out of nothing. Topoon on the back end of that play. Liss ultied the Liss, and Get Back with the stopwatch, with the Q, is able to just trade it back. That's a very big turnaround play from Direwolves. Gold lead certainly still in favor of Mammoth, just barely, but these plays certainly should not be happening. There was no Hextech Ultimatum. Triple burnt his cleanse on absolutely nothing, and unfortunately, they just fall down.
Yeah, not only that, the shutdown gold from Babbitt given over. I believe it was on the Olaf, and that's, considering how far behind Udasov had been set, that's certainly going to give him some relief.
Because we were just talking about the build. He's going for Redemption pre-Cinderhulk. You have seen a little bit of both. Babbitt is looking for something bot side, though.
Dodging the Dark Binding this time.
Gets themselves out.
Bot laner out.
But Redemption is a very cheap item. So he goes back, he's got the Forbidden Idol. He's basically done in like 600 gold, and he's got his first item. So we will take another look at how this starts. Of course, Babbitt has to commit to the play. That is what Camille does. So Get Back has the first track over the wall, and is a very nice cleanup. Destiny being here is a very good read. This fight would have been an absolute wipe for Mammoth. They would have lost Triple probably in the back end guaranteed, and would not have had to trade their jungler for it in Udisoft if Destiny wasn't here. But as we saw, they just flash over the wall. Lissandra follows up, and just a nice trade kill back and forth.
See the difference that it makes to have the level 6 on Olaf. Ragnarok is such a powerful ability. The fact that you can just be completely immune to any form of CC for a duration, and even if you're cornered, well, Olaf has this great little thing where he gets more attack speed the lower health he gets. It's one of those champions that hasn't changed in years, by the way. I remember playing him top lane in Season 2, so when I saw chippies on him last week, I was just like, this is great. This is a good throwback. I tweeted at him and asked him for his room
I saw
page.
that one, yeah.
I played that game into a Silas.
How'd it go?
Well, I fed 2 kills, and then I was still really good late game, and then we won.
Okay, so you fed 2 kills and then were absolutely useless?
So basically, I got carried until I got Black Cleaver Spirit Visage, because the entire enemy team was AP.
Yeah, okay.
So once I had Spirit Visage, I just basically spammed axes to the win.
Yeah, okay. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Top Olaf is enchanting. For the record, anyone can see it on Twitter, but his rune page was, I believe...
Conqueror, right?
Yeah, Conqueror. Yeah, I was about to say press the attack, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. I'm stupid. Because I know you obviously go for the whole Predator thing in the jungle, but I'm like, that can't be the top lane build.
Yeah, that's for ganks, like to actually get you into these sort of situations. I'm interested to see what happens with the map state right now. This is a TP back for Andrew in the bottom lane. King still maintains his, but he got a very nice buy. He's got the pickaxe, he's got the tier, he's got the Ezreal. Yeah. Ezreal isn't exactly a strong champion at this point of the game, but they have the safety of that champion plus the Morgana. So Rift Herald is being soloed out by Babbitt on the other side. Mammoth looking to bank a turret for later.
Here's the thing, though. You look at what Direwolves have been able to do across the board, the items they're completing. We're already starting to see a couple of them come in. There is the redemption finish for Udasoft. You see the Stormrazor on Andrew. So the question I want to ask you then, Bryce, is Mammoth, we're off to a good start to try and shut down Direwolves early. It feels like that fell off a little bit. Is this a problem for them, or are they going to be just fine going into mid-game?
I definitely would not call it a problem at this stage. Getting behind Direwolves' composition, very problematic. Being even or ahead, I think, is fine. Ezreal scales very well, as does Zoe. I'm not actually too sure about Silas. He gets, like, he can have a lot of gimmicky late-game team fights. Like, he can steal a couple of ultimates when he has enough CDR, and he can be super potent, but I guess in competitive play, that will be left to be seen for this. But Direwolves are making a play on the bottom side.
A little cheeky double blast cone. King and Destiny going to be moving back. Will they go for the dive? Does land the W. Andrew, does he feel like going in? Here comes Udasoft, and they've got King locked down, but he's going to get the flash away. Axes for Destiny, but he walks it out, and Corporal gets rooted up. That is going to be just enough for him to survive. Oh, that was close. Tormented Soil, and the area is not enough to kill him. But that's a 1 for none.
Yeah, just a very nice play from Direwolves. They know the Rift Herald went down. They knew Camille was topside, and they just pulled the trigger on that dive. It was disrespected there by Mammoth. They burnt double flashes. King has no TP to get himself back into lane as well, so he will lose some creeps. And this bottom side of the map seems to be where it's at for the Direwolves. They have a Kai'Sa who's tracking well. Get Back, who is probably one of the better performing Direwolves members over the course of the last couple of weeks. He's having a good game already, 2 kills on the back end, as he just gets completely
He's still alive, though. That's
roasted.
That's not the first time he has evaded the jaws of death by narrowly. And that's a 500 gold shutdown. Definitely not anything to sneeze at. Now, BioPanther fancies his chances up against Topoon here, sticking on top of him. Decimating Smash dodged out. A couple of chains whip back and forth.
Where is the W? There it is. Nice bit of healing there for Topoon. Dashes out of the Smash.
He's a very mobile champion for someone who's carrying around these giant chains.
Well, it's all momentum, man.
Yeah,
he just
he
flings
whips him and he just kind of goes. Is that how Abduct works?
Yeah. I don't know why it's called Abduct, given that he's taking himself to them. Yeah. That it's a little bit interesting. Flip of the coin here is Mammoth actually making a bottom side play. Udasoft is doing his golem, so there's absolutely
they've got enough viz.
No way that he's going to be relevant in this play. This may just be first brick going over to the Woolly
Nice Unbreakable by Corporal, though, to stop cutting that wave in half. This might actually just save it. So the game state is getting very close to even. Like, there's a 200 gold difference.
And that's surprising.
Direwolves, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, Bryce, but I feel like this might be the best game we've seen them play.
Potentially. Potentially. I feel like if it ends in a win, you're just like, hell yeah, brother.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm hedging my bets there, but I guess the point is right now, I've talked about how they haven't necessarily been able to find the win, but it's always been close.
Yep.
But not this close.
Yeah. So like, there is a 0 gold deficit. 100 gold means absolutely nothing in the scheme of things. Yeah. This is a team comp that is absolutely fine in the late game. Given that Babib solo killed Udasoft level 2 in the jungle whilst he was doing his blue buff, this game should not be in this position. They went for the gank top where Udasoft was just farming. Olaf is a very quick clearer, and Camille is obviously not. She wants to go for ganks, whereas Olaf is happy to just put his jungle on cooldown every single time. Gank got a flash, but they weren't able to return to the top lane. BioPanther now just building straight MR against a full AP Silas, so he's weathering the storm very well. Working on his Merc treads, I assume he's going to have after this base, and it then is sitting in relative safety, you expect, so Mammoth, they have this Rift Herald that they did use a lot of their tempo on. He's just going to drop it right now. Collapse from the bottom lane into the mid lane here from Mammoth, though.
I like the focus on Get Back, because he has been under a lot of pressure from Triple, right? Like, he's not exactly... He's playing the best on the team at the moment, and he's getting kills, he's getting plays, but he has been pressured a lot by Triple. So opening the map up in favor of Mammoth in this mid side does seem to really behoove them, because it might force Get Back to either lane swap around or to hold a little further back. And there should be a Cloud Drake on the menu here for Mammoth. Should they opt to take it or no? They want to go in on the bottom side, teleport in for the Silas. Let's see where he heads, and he tries to take the pain train in, and he abducts his way forward for Andrew, who flashes behind the Braum. But with a little bit of redemption, everybody is here to respond from the Dire Doggers.
Yeah, that's a 5v5 in the bottom lane, and absolutely nothing happens. Braum flashes out of the way. That was a very good ulti from Andrew. Olaf may be in trouble.
Late on that one,
and lands.
Intercepted by Corporal. But
very nice.
This is very thematic right here as Get Back tries to walk away. The Lone Wolf dies, Bryce, but the pack survives.
Yeah, certainly does. Redemption is able to heal them up just a little bit. Mammoth still maintain the pressure. This turret probably likely to go down, so they got themselves a chunk of gold in the mid lane. Turret falls. Bottom side is going to follow very soon. Biopanther is a very tanky boy now with the Glacial and the Merc Shreds. It's tough to push him out of this sort of situation.
Hard to avoid that Dark Binding. Big hitbox, big beefy boy, but doesn't matter. He's still able to hold on. I mean, there's only been one tower taken in this entire game. That is the gold lead right now, Bryce. It's 500. And Mammoth have been a little frustrated trying to find ways to widen it.
Yeah, certainly is. And I feel like this speaks to Mammoth's start of the season. This team is not a team that I expect to play incredibly slowly. This is an 18, 19 minute laning phase. Baron is going to spawn before people really move very far out of their lanes. We're going to Australia lanes right now. We flipped the map sign on the bottom side.
You call it that there too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, here. Okay, Triple is in trouble, but he's got flash. He's going to burn it in taps. Babip looking for get back. There comes the claw.
Ooh.
Evade and avoid. Let's see if he gets it inside. And Udasak chucks the axe to kill Babbitt.
And this is just disastrous from Mammoth. They flipped the map and they were looking for that 2 versus 2 triple. Unfortunately, one paddle star goes wide and they cannot win the fight. Camille burns absolutely everything. Here we go.
Hello, Triple. Had nowhere to go after that, so once again, the Wolfpack is grouping up, and they're going to siege down this mid lane.
Yeah, this is going to be mid-turret absolutely gone to the wind here. And you asked me before, is the game state, like, is it a problem here for Mammoth? But absolutely now, gold lead, 2K, the biggest one we've had so far in the hands of the Direwolves. Is this an inner turret as well?
They're going to get it. There's no response right now from Mammoth. Destiny sniffing around, but so far everybody either backed, dead, or in a different lane. So there's a trade up to the top. Ezreal gets that tower. But I don't really think he's not going to secure it.
Yeah, I feel like could be a TP from the Kai'Sa to come and try and defend. Recalling now, turret will probably fall before he gets here, but this is disastrous. I feel like, I was going to say, Mammoth have said themselves, Fantix just alluded to, but also the players on social media in their interviews, and most people, this is an underwhelming start. I feel like this game proves that it has got to them, at least in some degree. This is a Camille jungle with a level 2 solo kill. And they forced absolutely nothing. They got nothing done with that lead. Ubisoft should have been taken out of the game. He's going for the redemption build, will absolutely be bullyable by that Camille. And now we're approaching 20 minutes. Baron has spawned. The gold lead is in the favor of Direwolves, and this is just a disaster for Mammoth.
Yeah. If they lose this game, we have to really change the conversation around Mammoth about coming into this. We expected them to be a title contender at the very least. And there's a lot more league to play. I mean, it's a triple round-robin best-of-1, but if you end up losing to the winless Direwolves, that really has to change things, take some toll on your mental as well. But I want to flip the coin here a little bit, Bryce, because you look at Direwolves, what they've been doing has been very skillfully denying a lot of these Mammoth plays. It's not just Mammoth not taking the incentive. It's Direwolves know this is coming.
Yeah.
Biopanther on your screen especially, give him some credit after his flash gets burned. He played so conservatively against this Sylas. He hasn't given him a kill, and now he's a big chunky boy and doesn't have to worry about it.
Now he gets to play Sion in the mid game where you just don't take damage, right? Like, he's going to get to team fights. He's just going to be the tankiest guy on the Rift, because it's interesting to talk about the Direwolves and their strength of schedule so far. Like, coming into this week, yes, they are 0-4, and a lot of people are like, maybe that is expected with their start to the split, complete rebuild. They lost to Chiefs, you're like, okay, entirely expected. But they have had a fairly easy start to the split. And they've played what would have been considered some of the weaker teams coming in. They've played Legacy, also at the bottom of the ladder with them. They've played Gravitas, who is only one win above Legacy. And AV, I feel like, are a team who's certainly overperformed.
They've been the surprise factor, but we didn't expect them to be in the top half of the bracket, for sure.
So Direwolves have played like the 3 other, maybe for some people's power rankings, probably mine, like the other 3 weaker teams. And then, what? Like, they've lost all those 3 games. If they're now beating Mammoth, this is a huge upset, and it's like completely flip side of the coin. Mammoth maybe underperforming. Direwolves, this is a huge win for them. A lot of these players, this has been a smart game of League of Legends. They haven't been opting in for a lot of volatility. You mentioned, like, the difference between these 2 teams is like the skill matchup in terms of individual talent. This is multiple OPL winners versus a bunch of rookies. But their team play so far has been very good. They've been denying Mammoth's opportunities. They have been there to counteract. Like, they've been making plays. It was a bot dive onto an unsuspecting combination in the Morgana and the Ezreal. They've invaded blue buff. They're playing with priority, bringing over Biopanther as they should right now, contesting the Baron Vision. These are smart team plays, and they're just not opting in for super risky stuff, which is very often what happens on stage for very young lineups.
They also drafted themselves, you know, give some credit to the Direwolves coach here for drafting themselves a very forgiving composition. I mean, Olaf is one of those champions that if you fall behind early, you're still going to have use later on because you have CC immunity. You can still get in there and stick to people even if you don't do as much damage.
Yeah.
And he's built very utility because, you know, you have this pioneered by
Tarzan.
Well, that too. I'm just going to leave it at that. The build, but you also look at the likes of Biopanther on the Scion, who can basically run in this. It's a big beefy front line. And where are the kills? Well, they're on Get Back, they're on Andrew. Those are the champions you want them on, as well as Ubisoft. But you've kind of got the pieces falling into place here, and you have a forgiving composition. This is the kind of thing it seemed like a team like the Direwolves that are full of these young faces need. If they get this win, that's a skyrocket for confidence.
Yeah, certainly, because with Hold That Thought, no, Babip doesn't go for the play. Ubisoft was...
He's learned his lesson, I think.
Yes. Under a little bit of threat there, but if they win this game from this point, I expect it to be like a structured game of League of Legends. This isn't a super... Like, this isn't a throw a punch in the early game and maybe snowball at a win. If they win from here, they've played very conservative. They've waited for their comp to come online. Kai'Sa gets to 2 items. She now has Guinsoo's. You have, like, the big tanks in the front line, like Biopanther and Get Back can look for these teamfight startups. Like, that is what I'm expecting to see if Direwolves can pull out the victory here. So that is a good win. It's not a lucky win, which I want to emphasize. Like, they haven't won the game yet. We're talking in hypotheticals. Like, this could be like another 20 minutes of this game. We don't know how it's going to play out. Baron is on the cards, yeah. But both these teams are playing with respect to one another. Fantix alluded that in the interview. He feels like maybe they underestimated AV, got punished in their loss there. But this has been a very respectful game of League of Legends from both sides.
Yeah, a bit of a gentleman's game for a while here. And it's also, it's not been influenced by any of the RNG factors like a dragon
Triple
want to fight
Drake.
over. Yeah, none of that stuff. We've started out nice and easy. We're cruising into it. I feel like this is for my benefit here, Jim.
Yeah,
because
slow starts in the OPL. Yeah,
this is the European League of Legends style that I was used to seeing for 4 years, where it's a very slow style of gameplay until the late game. I mean, not every team was like this, but at the high level, oftentimes, you know, when teams were still trying to emulate Korea,
yeah,
saw a lot of that.
The thing I like most about European League of Legends is they just play weird shit all the time. Europe, I feel like...
you just picked a Mordekaiser last week.
Well, yes.
Well, it was Avant, but yeah.
Yes, but like, Europe, they played like Twisted Fate jungle like years ago. Like, I feel like
that's also Kikis. He's very special.
But they pioneer a lot of weird stuff. And then I feel like Korea looks at it and they like, is this good? Yes, it is, and then they perfect it.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like a lot of OPL players, I can tell you from experience talking to the guys myself, look up to Korea to a high degree. I feel like a lot of regions around the world do, but like Korea try and play the perfect game, whereas Europe, they are very individual. They play some weird stuff, and I like it.
It's also a lot of like very particular players that really like these experimental things, but a lot of them were unlocked for a while, right?
Did you just see how absolutely 0 damage by a Panther?
Yeah, that was a little... I think it healed him, actually.
Yeah, probably, to be honest.
The best part about this is he hasn't had to use a stopwatch.
Yeah.
He's
That's
just
so
what
annoying. Oh, this is a 26-minute team fight if it happens, and the Scion is going to stopwatch. He's going to buy so much time.
Yeah. Triple going to look for Get Back here, but... I think Get Back's been really solid at being able to avoid some of this damage. That is a great bubble, though. He does claw out, but he can't complete it in time. Ubisoft coming in for the rescue. No problem here. You can still see Mammoth, though, sniffing for these picks.
Yep.
If they can turn this into a 5v4 scenario, that's when you start thinking about forcing a Baron. That's when you think about making these big plays. But they haven't been given anything.
Yeah.
And in fact, they're losing towers. Direwolves still have the edge here.
Because that was a cool play by Triple, right? He's waiting for the creeps to die so we can get the angle for the bubble. Lands it, unfortunately gets denied by the second minion wave just walking up. And we were joking about 300. I feel like all the soldiers just kind of march towards the turret, defending the Lysandra there. And as you mentioned,
those are the Persians.
Yep.
Yeah. What I know about I think it's the Battle of Thermopylae.
I know absolutely nothing about
it. Well, I've watched the movie like 5 times.
That is such a... There's no way this is reliable information.
I'm pretty sure.
As soon as you tell me something, you're like, yeah, but I've seen the movie.
They had like that dude with like axes for hands.
Out the window.
You know, they had the dude with axes for hands. I'm like, I wonder if this is a
realistic portrayal.
Yeah. Or maybe some artistic license has been taken here.
Like
was Xerxes really 8 feet tall? I mean, he could have been.
Who knows? Not me. We'll have to ask Jake.
Yeah.
He's the one that knows.
Yeah, fair enough.
Spent 15 hours listening
although
to a podcast.
I'm certain of one thing. Gerard Butler was definitely at that battle because that man does not age.
Okay. Fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
But this game, incredibly slow still. 27 minutes. We haven't broken a single inner tower. Actually, no, that is not true. Direwolves with
earlier
the Rich Child. Not with the Rich Child. After the team fight, broke that one. But now this is the first sniff around Baron. They don't actually start this one up, but they find an opportunity where they have some mid priority. They walk towards Baron, deny a bit of the vision. Binding and Bubble are a little bit short there, and
It's
Direwolves,
been a
they
shift.
clear it out, they walk away.
It's been a shift of where the battlefield is, right? Because while the teams are in the middle at the moment, Direwolves have been pushing deeper and deeper into Mammoth territory.
Yep.
This has allowed them to get the jump on the Baron, which meant that Mammoth had to instantly react to it. Direwolves didn't feel confident enough to actually go for it right now without anybody down because they've been slowly building this lead. But I mean, this is a 2,500 gold lead. It's not huge, but the fact that they built that up from what was a big early game deficit is what's so impressive. And they're just keeping the game in this state where they build slow leads, accumulated over time.
It's very difficult for Mammoth to force. They don't have a Scion rotating to the play. Topoon is catching waves, and then he has single target CC in the abduct. He can get on a single person, and that is the best engage they have, bar the Camille, right? Like
He has to pick the good target, too. We need him to get on, like, Andrew or something.
So Camille can go in. You see a couple of different Camille builds, right? Like, there's some Triforce variants. This is going to be a Sterax variant. He burnt the stopwatch much early in a 2v2. They eventually lost. But Babip, with a solo invade onto Ubisoft at level 2, you expect this could be a Triforce game which he takes over. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. He now has no stopwatch, has to go for the Sterax because he realizes he is the solo engage. But Camille is all they've got, bar a stray bubble or a stray binding landing. Yeah. So Direwolves have the capacity to be the ones that, like, if they want to make something happen, they just press R and it happens. Mammoth, they don't have those buttons. They don't have those options right now, so they kind of have to play this respectful engage because it's on Direwolves to kind of step up and force the play. Otherwise, Mammoth just kind of have to sit here baiting around Baron when they can get priority. If they pink the pit, then they can maybe force Biopanther to walk over, but for the time being, we're approaching 30 minutes and we haven't seen a single team fight.
No, I mean, the last proper team fight that I recall, it was really that skirmish over by Blue Buff.
Yep.
That was Get Back kind of making a great escape and managing to pick off Triple at the very end of it. And that was very messy, and I think at that point Mammoth kind of lost their taste for these crazy picks, because the problem is, you corner a Wolf, he's going to snap at you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Ubisoft, with the CC immunity of Ragnarok, was able to kind of just turn that around. He dishes so much damage. I mean, this is an Olaf. You can basically attack constantly in the melee range. You do not want to deal with that unless you're sure you can burst him down. And that's getting harder and harder to do because you've got Cinder Hulk, you've got the Gargoyle Stone Plate, and the Redemption for a little bit of extra healing there.
Yep. So he's tanky. It's a Gargoyle in the back pocket of Biopanther as well, because let's put the microscope on Silas a little bit here. Actually, Bubble, no. Does go a little bit wide. Recall is going to come out from Mammoth. So let's take a look, right? Like, Silas is a champion that has been out for just a week, barely, if that. In solo queue, there are tons of kills. There are fights literally all the time.
He snowballs pretty hard.
Yes, he does. I guarantee you, Topoon is used to playing this champion with a bunch of kills and probably a gold lead more often than not. Now this is competitive. The game is slower. This is a slow game for OPL competitive standards already, which I feel like probably doesn't favor him, but we have yet to see a Silas in like a competitive team fight. Like, what does he offer? You're comparing him to a Scion, and he offers very little. Like, he can get a Liss ulti, he can get a Scion ulti, and then maybe cause a little bit of a ruckus, but he's really just going to be threatening one person. That person is likely to be Andrew. Kai'Sa can be very good if left to her own devices. There's a lot of people to get through if he can even get onto the Kai'Sa, but I feel like the window has certainly closed here for the full AP Silas. And he's not doing any damage to Scion in the side lane.
For a newer player as well, I mean, we talk about Topoon kind of coming in without a whole lot of experience on the competitive stage. That can be a bigger frustrating thing because you're used to, if you have a lot of competitive experience, you're used to solo queue not being the same, not having the same expectations that you have in solo queue in a competitive match. But Topoon doesn't quite have that yet. He's not been playing on the stage for very long. So you got to wonder if that starts affecting your mental a little bit, and you start trying to play a little bit to make up for lost time, which is suboptimal.
Because it's kind of interesting you say that, right? Because I feel like I agree, but I've never thought of it that way. At some point in a player's career, you go from solo queue being the norm and scrims being like the other thing that you're actively doing to scrims and competitive being the norm and solo queue is that thing you play, right? And like potentially there isn't that shift yet. Like we have no idea. We're talking in hypotheticals. It's just like a thought right now.
I just know. No, yeah, exactly. We don't really know exactly what's going on in Topoon's mind, but you have to think for somebody who is very much a rookie that that's a very real possibility.
Because he's had very good games in the OPL so far. He had a very rough game versus Mimic. I think he was playing the Scion and got absolutely bopped, I believe, by an Urgot matchup, which is Scion favored. And unfortunately, Bombers, Balkan, his Korean duo and Mimic just destroyed the top side of the map. He went for a very ambitious TP bottom lane and the game was almost over from there. But this is 3 dragons into an Elder Drake. They weren't
Yeah.
even good dragons
they're
at the
just-
start of the game.
Yeah, I mean, but at this point, if we get into that like double Elder territory, it really doesn't matter, right? Because
Yeah.
of all the
Well-
changes that have happened.
Yeah, well, the burn, like double Elder, we talked about this because we had a double Elder in that AV game with Mordekaiser.
And that was a
last week.
very long game
Yeah,
as well.
and that had a hell of a lot of dragons because that's just what a Mordekaiser wants to do. He just wants to take dragon, throw it up
ghost
mid
dragons.
lane, and just
Yeah.
whack the turret with just a 7,000 HP minion.
Yeah, which
That
is, it's like we got that preview of what Game of Thrones Season 7
yeah,
is going to look like.
yeah, potentially, right? And now this is an air drake, an ocean drake, like at best. We have no earths to speed up the game. We have no fires to force people to fight over. So it has just been very respectful from both sides. Mammoth thinking about setting up the Baron. Topoon is walking over as he did have some priority, but Direwolves, they know what's up. They do want to contest this vision.
Mammoth have wrestled a little bit of map control back here, and this is what's allowed them to get around this Baron pit. And that, that kind of makes the difference here because Direwolves ceded a little bit of space up top. They lost out of that tower, so it's 4-4. Gold lead's still well within striking distance, but it's Direwolves that are forced to kind of check in to see if this Baron is being started. Of course, it is all a trap, in the famous words of Admiral Akbar.
And it's so interesting that I believe there has not been a single pink ward in the Baron pit from Mammoth all game. There isn't a red ward either from Direwolves, so there isn't a single ward for it to clear. It's not like Direwolves have vision on the pit right now, but they just haven't been opting into pinking the pit. They don't know that the vision is cleared, but even then, they don't have a single tank. Camille is their tankiest member. They don't have like an Olaf, a Scion to just start the Baron and can force the fight. Because you don't want to be fighting a 6v5 with Baron is shredding away your squishy targets. Like that sounds like a miserable team fight if that's the best way you have to start it. So they're not super willing to actually start this one up.
Because that's not what the team comp is built for, right?
No.
This is a team comp that wants to get 1-2 quick picks and then take the Baron without any competition. But this is the problem. Direwolves haven't given it to you. They've been kind of avoiding and evading.
Yep.
And at this point, it's hard for them to get picked off. I mean, look at Biopanther. He's got a freaking Warmogs. This guy is never going to die.
He has 17 tank items and just does not take damage. This is
He's going to end the game 0-0-0.
He is just.
I'm going to make this prediction right now. He's going to end the game at 0-0-0.
That is, I feel like that is a bold prediction and possibly a very unlikely one.
I just got a feeling here.
Yeah, okay. That's that could be funny.
Well, okay, let's put it this way. There's going to be a 0 in the death column. I'm calling that at the very least. He
Yeah,
might
okay.
get some assists. I don't think he'll get a kill.
Yeah, certainly not. I feel like if you have a Lysandra and a Kai'Sa, you'd certainly rather they go there. But look how much mana Topoon is spending.
He just doesn't care about Tapu. He's just farming.
And Biopanther just clears the wave, and he's going to walk away. Warmogs is going to start ticking away, and he's just going to go back to full HP. And now Topoon is at 20% mana. Probably has to recall fairly soon. And he's not even getting
And that's with
priority
Grievous
in the
Wounds, by
side
the way.
lane. Yeah, he has Morello.
Tapoon has a Morello's, and he's still tickling the Scion.
Yeah.
All right, so at this point, Direwolves are just gonna kind of start forcing around the board.
Elder Dragon in a minute 50. Something will happen at that point. I predict either Direwolves go for Baron and Mammoth just take a consolation Elder Dragon, or someone will force something because at this point there's one objective on the map. Nobody is willing to just force a fight. Mammoth can't. Direwolves are choosing not to. They have the tools, but there's only one objective and they're just trading priority. Top laners are walking over. One team gets prio. They get the vision. The other team, as the top laner walks back, they walk over, they get the vision, and they're just trading back and forth. But as soon as there's two, you can split the map and each take one, and then I believe something will happen, but
It's a slow
we're a
dance.
minute away.
All right.
Ulti lands. Oh,
Ooh, nice dodge by Andrew.
that would have done damage.
Yeah, he's very good at actually sidestepping damage this game. And then here comes the Silas tank. So we did get the answer. It does make the noise. In fact, he turns
Yeah.
into
Yeah, the train.
In fact, he even copies the skin. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well
wait,
played, Rito Design.
he's mega. He's mecha.
Yeah, he's
Scion.
Mecha, because that's the Mecha Scion
Oh, damn.
train. So
Okay.
that's really cool, actually.
Yeah, that is cool. I like that. I like that a lot. He's done that multiple times in terms of like Scion ulting back to the wave. He did
Yeah.
it in the laning phase
I mean,
as well,
he's got
so-
enough CDR to make it worth, right? Like, it's perfectly fine. Ubisoft does take
Oh,
some
this
good
may be an
damage.
ulti.
There's a redemption there.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a big burst, but he's still also pretty tanky. It's just not the same level of regen.
The timing is very good though. Baron spawning in 30 seconds. Mammoth now 4v5 on the map as they know Ubisoft has to recall. They're going to get complete control over the Baron. Dragon
started,
spawning
though.
in 20. Is it enough to start it up? Babip has actually right-clicked it, so he's on it.
And this is going to be a commit. Babip at half health. They don't know that this is
Blue
happening, but you
Trinket.
have to guess at this point. Blue Trinket comes down, and Direwolves come sniffing, but will they be there in time? Redemption for Mammoth. They're going to peel off.
And that's it. They just walk away. They don't have a tank to continue this one. Triple.
Now
Can
look
he
at
land a
Babip's
bubble?
already at half health, so this is going to be a rougher fight for them if they want to go for it. Instead, they look for some picks. Get back, claws his way out,
Ooh.
and Tapoon steals an ultimate.
Yep.
That
High
was not
value
good.
ulti there. That will do tons of damage if he ever gets that one off. Doesn't have a Void Staff to Silas.
But
Lost
there's
when
nobody
he was
on bottom
your
right now. Tapoon has to go and answer Biopanther at the moment. Triple does tank up Andrew, and look at the damage Biopanther's dishing on this turret
That
to
is
get
a
the
demolished
demolish.
proc and a half. He still has a stopwatch.
He's just going to let the minions do the job.
Yeah, it's like he's sitting in this situation like, do I buy pink wards? Like, tossing it up, is that more worthwhile? Probably not. Like, the stopwatch is going to be super useful in a team fight. It's not like if Silas is there, he needs like the pink control to like protect himself. He can just ulti away if there's ever any gank threat in the bottom lane.
Does that mean his last item is just going to be like a Guardian Angel?
I expect not, but because now he's in that situation where he just sits on stopwatch until he can afford like a flat out item.
Yeah.
I'm interested if the observer
And then he just burns it
gold.
for the hell of it.
Like, how much gold does Biopanther have in his back pocket?
Let's
We
take a
hit the
look
X
at
button.
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
1K. It's
All right.
reasonable. There's actually a lot of gold in
It's
everyone's
not a
pockets
full
right
item,
now.
though. It's
Yeah.
you still got to wait a little bit. And
You
it looks like Lysandra just bought, so we'll take a look back at that, see what she picked up.
You definitely need like 3K to get an item minimum. Like, it could just be mega defensive. Doesn't go like Randuin, something like that. He can build whatever he wants, and he's probably not dying in a team fight anyway.
The craziest thing about this game, though, I think has been the fact that the gold lead has never been like more than like 2K.
Yeah, it's so even.
Regardless of the time. I mean, that was a big deal back in the first minute.
Here we
And
go.
comes the fight. Get back looks for triple, but he gets absolutely chunked down. That was a mistake by the Dire Doggos, and it looks like Udasoft is going to fall. There's the 2 picks Mammoth was looking for.
And 40 minutes into the game, Mammoth finally find their opportunity. Now 5 members onto the Baron. Elder Dragon is the contest here for Direwolves. Do they just trade it? It's only double air, but there's no damage here. Scion and a Braum
They're
right
going to bring
now.
Andrew. I don't know if that's enough. Babbitt is taking a chunking, but yeah, this was a
TP?
huge mistake. TP going to come into the bottom. Mammoth want to get everything here.
Okay, the fight will start. The contest is here. Morgana flanking from one side. He does have a stopwatch. He goes in.
It goes in. It's going to get smited down. There's the Elder Dragon, but can Direwolves get out of it? Pain Train leaving the station. Corporal not far behind. But he stopped up and deleted, so that's going to be 4 kills. Direwolves do walk away with 1 Elder Dragon.
But we are 40 minutes into the game. This is 45 seconds on the bottom lane of Direwolves. And Get Back, we were talking about. He weathered the storm in the early game. He had 2 kills on Lysandra. He has been performing fairly well for them this split, but that could be one single mistake that has cost them the game.
And it feels like we've repeated ourselves on that over the course of this split so far, because Direwolves have had close games, maybe not as close as this one, but Mammoth are on the cusp of turning it back around off of 1 clean pick, and it wasn't even a fight that they started.
20 seconds on the Kai'Sa, 15 on the Braum.
They need
Tyrant
to
is
hold
starting
out.
to get hit right now. Biopanther just running interference. 5 members in front of him.
Going to be one hell of a game of tower defense. He goes Tapoon! Deletion on a Get Back, and it's Udasoft running for the fountain. He's barely going to make it there, but Biopanther cannot hold the line. That stopwatch is coming in handy. Here comes Corporal and Andrew back off the back, and it looks like they will shut down Tapoon and keep this game alive.
Somehow they are unable to end the game. Andrew, if more CC landed, this is a 5.5. He has QSS item Kai'Sa with ulti. He just died before without blowing anything. That could have been a cleanup and maybe a complete turnaround, but Baron still in the hands of multiple Mammoth members. They certainly have another deploy to set this one up. Nexus turret falling down, Inhib falling down as well. Gold lead explodes to 2,000.
Yeah, that's the biggest goal
that's an
lead we've had all
explosion
night.
and a half.
But it's 41.5 minutes. That was the closest the game just got to ending. And this is what I'm talking about, Bryce, when I said Direwolves are like a meat pie without sauce. It was a bit bland, but for 40 minutes they got the job done. But the secret sauce wasn't there, man.
Yeah,
they couldn't
okay.
put it away, and they made one mistake.
Yep.
But kudos to Mammoth for taking advantage of that, blowing up 2 members, one of which was a tank, by the way. It wasn't enough to close the game out, but it just goes to show that that is how on a knife's edge things can be.
Like, they didn't break the game, like they didn't end the game, but they broke the game wide open. Now they have an inhib. Now they have a pressure point that they did not have before, right? Silas wasn't getting any work done in the split push. He was just trading waves with a pure tank Scion. Now mid lane will just always push in. Zoe can play around this jungle, can just fling bubbles and Qs from like in front of their base as they look to set up topside. This is a 5-man commit. Tapoon doesn't have TP, so every single member is going to be on the top side of the map underneath this inhib turret of Direwolves, and it will just come down to the engage. Who can get it off first, Mammoth? If they can find a bubble, will be the start of their fight. Get Back, though, has Zhonya's, he has Flash, and he's looking over the wall.
For those picks, Get Back, walks away before the Sleepy Trouble bubble takes effect. Biopanther still leading this front line. Mammoth, they're going to run out of Baron buff sooner or later, though. That's the thing.
Only a sliver left. Redemption was used there just to clear the wave.
Use every tool you got in the kit. So they're going to have to respond to the mid lane sooner or later, but for the time being, Direwolves are doing a great job holding this line.
Yep. Well, they just have time right now. The other waves aren't threatening the base, so they can afford to commit 5 members to this siege. It is weird in League of Legends to see a 5-man siege in 2019. That feels like a very 2015, 2014 style of play. Mostly, it is a product of the fact that Top Boon doesn't have TP right now, and they were just looking for something with their Baron, but it's very hard to straight up 5v5 dive full stop, let alone when you don't have a Rakan, when you don't have an Alistar. They're just banking on somehow hitting a bubble or a binding onto the Kai'Sa, onto the list, when you have an Olaf, a Braum, and a Sion just standing in front.
And we're getting into full build territory at this point, so if the squishies get caught up, someone's getting blown up.
Yep.
You look at what Andrew has, you look at what King has on the opposite side. Same thing with the top laners. Tapoon is going to start to have a little bit more tools to play with. He can close a lot of gaps because not only does he have the Abducted Gone combo, he's got a Hextech Protobelt. So he can really jump into people's faces quickly. The thing is, they need to focus those picks.
Well,
that's where Mammoth will have the success.
The thing is, it has to be picks. It has to be a scrappy fight. Front to back, Direwolves straight win. Triple front line, Liz can go in, Kai'Sa is self-sufficient, and you have like a hyper carry in that 80 carry position, right? This is a Camille you want from one flank. You want the Silas to come from the other side to get on a squishy target, because this is a full AP, no Void Staff build. His last item was a Proto Belt, which I think A, is slightly weird. We don't see that very often. You see a couple of different builds. Luden's first, which is what we saw this game. Proto Belt first, some other players are doing, if you're doing the AP variant, if you're not going like Frozen Fist into like tank items and just going Bruiser, but he doesn't have a Void Staff, so there's no way he's ever touching Olaf. There's no way he's ever touching the Sion. He has to get on Kai'Sa and Liss to be effective. But how do they get a flank when Direwolves just sit back in their base? They're just playing it safe. Baron is up in 50 seconds, as is Elder, but the opportunities are certainly scarce.
Yeah, I feel like Mammoth has to force on one or both of those because that's the only way they're going to draw the Direwolves out of their depth. And in a 5v5, you don't want that, obviously, but they can hope that Direwolves can misexecute like they did last time. And you know that might be the winning play right there for Mammoth.
And now we have sort of a weird situation. Camille is split pushing, in the top side. And I feel like if you're Direwolves, you prefer second Elder Drake. Right? Did they get the first one?
They did get the first
Yeah,
one.
they did. So
It was close, but they walked away with
They have a hard force comp. They can just force with Sion if they want. They can force with Olaf if they want. You give Baron, you get second Elder, and then you just run it up mid and you team fight to end the game.
And I think Mammoth are aware of this right now. Look at the way they're playing.
Because they have the control. Mammoth had that inhib down. Like, Direwolves are playing within their base. Baron is now spawned. They're actually trying to two-man this one with the Camille and the Ezreal. Direwolves have Blue Trinket available, but they don't know right now. Pink Ward in the pit.
Yeah, Mammoth are going to get
this. Could be a sneak.
Oh, but look, instantly Direwolves are going to start making a beeline for the Dragon. So it looks like this will be a trade, but Destiny's still here to try and disrupt this. And now that the Baron's gone down, the rest of Mammoth are going to be racing against the clock.
Can they get the fight before this falls down, and can they steal the Dragon? Because I feel like with double Elder, Direwolves certainly favored in this regard.
This might be how the game ends. Here we go. It's going to get smited down by Direwolves. Fight is going to get started. I don't think Mammoth wanted this one, but Babbitt goes in with Andrew on the backside, staying alive. Corporal even is in this one, and everybody in the middle is getting chunked down by Tapoon. Slays Corporal to kick this off. Andrew already finding an answering kill. And on the front line is BioPanther. That's a 1-for-1 trade, but it's support for top lane.
How is that a 1-for-1? Baron plus they rotate over. TP's galore from the Mammoth side, and Direwolves second Elder Drake. You can see Corporal in his player cam, hand on heart. That could have been the game end right then and there, 47 minutes into this game, and a 1-for-1. Tapoon flashed on the backline, dies. Corporal, he's a Braum, so he's happy to die in a team fight.
Yeah, no, that's great for Direwolves, and they made the fight happen on their own terms. They were the ones who forced it. They also made sure that Andrew and Getback were staying in safe positions, so someone like Corporal could be the sacrifice in that situation. And yeah, Andrew's positioning and the way that he was allowed to get that positioning made all the difference.
Because it sort of baited off the start of the fight. He ultied in initially off a Sion knockup onto Tapoon. Kai'Sa just straight ulted into the front line and then kited back, obviously, when there was counter engage. But we have to do some housekeeping real quick. First Baron lasts significantly longer than an Elder Drake. Second Elder Dragon, when you stack both of them, lasts the same time. So all of a sudden, this isn't an advantage in Mammoth can just like stall it out. Direwolves will have this buff for the same duration that Mammoth have their Baron. And once I said, like as I said before, they have the Scion Force, they have the Olaf Force, so they can straight up just run it up mid and look for this fight. And I feel like that's what they're doing. Udisoft doesn't know he's on a pink one right now. Did not check the bush. He will now. Unfortunately, doesn't shift flick, so that one dies. No, they actually moved to the pink. It was in that bush, but
That's one way to deny.
yeah, this is a deny and a half. Maybe they're just like, oh, he's going to clear it anyway, so I'll just place a new one. But this is going to be a 5v5 mid lane to end the game. It has to be. There's no other way.
There's nothing else to take on the map at this point. The inhibs respawn for Direwolves. There's still a lot of damage being dealt from this poke here, and Mammoth cannot take a straight up 5v5. They're backing away. Ugh. This Kai'Sa W is starting to sting a little bit.
Yeah, that's an AD Kai'Sa W. Is not meant to do much damage.
But it's still actually doing a pretty decent bit against some of these squishies. So Direwolves are just going to go back, clear waves, push it, and they might be able to force the fights on their own terms once again.
They just skipped some steps there. They didn't find the engage that they wanted initially, and now their side lanes are pushing game. So they're going to go back towards the side lanes. They're going to push these ones out. Sion is going to ulti, one shot this one. Liss is going to do it the same on the top side, and I expect them with their Elder Dragon to walk back mid and look for something, because if not, this is a slow-ass game.
Well, they can respond to whatever Mammoth want to do. This is triple teleport. We haven't talked about summoners as much this game. The triple teleport versus just the double of Mammoth, and Kings is still on cooldown. So we're going to be looking at Direwolves. If they choose to dictate the pace here, it looks like they're going to try to find triple. There's the flash forced out. Biopanther comes in as well as Corporal, not finding the damage they need. Force the flash out of triple, though. If there was a Baron up or anything,
they could force.
It's happening.
Yep. That's a big summoner gone. 5 minutes of no flash on the Zoe. Still has cleanse, still has the Zhonya's. So summoner trade certainly in favor of Direwolves, and they now have a prime target to go on. Yes, he has those defensive tools, but if Sion gets on top of a Zoe, a cleanse and a Zhonya's are going to buy time, but there's absolutely no way he's getting away from that one. Advantage certainly Direwolves in this stage, but Baron is gone from Mammoth. Elder Dragon is gone from Direwolves, and maybe we just rinse and repeat for the next phase of like neutral objectives.
It's such a close one, and this is what's so crazy about it. Direwolves are hunting for their first win. It's week 3, and they've not won one yet because it's a very young squad. I think expectations were maybe a little bit low, but it was all about trust the process. Well, I don't know about you, Bryce, but I feel like the process is it's a very slow one, but in 50 minutes they might just be able to find their first win.
Certainly could. 1 minute 40 on the Baron, 1 minute 50 on the Dragon. Do we get another trade? Do Direwolves change it up? Do they look at that last Elder Dragon and be like, hey, we couldn't force?
Look at Get
Maybe we go for Baron?
Get Back's just sitting here. Are they going to try to flank TP on this?
I hope so.
They
have a very deep ward in the mid lane. No, they have one straight in mid. That is a very deep ward. Liss has flash as well. Andrew doesn't have any lifesteal in his build, but of course we'll just have the bloodline.
I think this is going to go to Baron 3, Bryce.
Fine. 1 minute left. How long does that ward last? Not very long. I think the one on our screen right now, next to the bubble, just below it, if that has more than a minute, I'm not sure. This one right here, thank you, Mr. Observer. I feel like that's less than a minute. If that's still up before Baron spawns and they can force a fight with that, teamfight flank is perfect Lissandra territory. That's exactly what you want if you are Get Back.
Oh, they're just going to try to Baron bait this now.
They can just place another one. Andrew walking up.
They should be easily able to shred through this Baron when it comes up. Question is, does Mammoth give it to them?
They're just going to recall. 30 seconds before Baron. That is a ambitious choice. TPs from the Liss and from the Kai'Sa, so they can just TP back to the play. But obviously, Direwolves have looked at this last Elder Dragon and been like, look, that didn't end the game. Third one, that's going to be no different. This time they want the Baron. They can play all 3 lanes with a Baron buff because they have TP advantage. They have a TP mid laner versus a cleanse, so if they're looking at the team fight and like, hey, we're not being able to force this one, let's play some split push, then they certainly can. But Baron up in 10 seconds, and do Mammoth contest, or do they just take the trade?
Yeah, Direwolves clearly sniffing for a fight, but every single time they get near it, Mammoth just disappear into the wilderness, and now it's dark as night in the Baron pit. Corporal intercepting the True Shot barrage. Get Back is zoning around the side. This Baron looks to be a bait.
Here it is.
There we go. Into the back he goes, trying to find 1 or 2. Keep your eyes on Andrew as he looks for that extra bit of damage there. Direwolves seeming to run this fight as Tapoon goes to the back line, getting blown up by Get Back, but not before he dishes some serious damage. That is a 2 for none, and Mammoth on the run.
And team fight number 2, Direwolves reign supreme. Andrew does so much damage front to back. They are definitely favored. Mammoth are being chased away by a Sion right now. Baron has been eaten alive, so Direwolves, now they have everything to play with and everything to play for.
The only thing going wrong for Direwolves right now is the fact that there is a huge stack of minions that just knocked down that tower, but there's an answer in the form of Get Back. The minions are doing a lot more than Mammoth are in this game.
Look at King, though. He's sitting behind this lineup. Ubisoft's going to check in with a sweeper, so they know exactly where he is now. Liss has a flank. Blast Cone.
Oh, dear. King, how fast can he run? Ubisoft's still going to zone him off here.
Ooh.
They're not going to force that. Instead, they're going to try to go for the double. The Baron
triple double. The
and
triple Elder.
The Elder. Triple Elder, Baron.
This is a combo. This is a combo of buffs. Double super buffs. Triple. Can he steal it?
Can they make it happen? It's going to get taken down. BioPanther of all champions gets the last hit. And to top it off, Get Back takes down King. That is a 70+ second death time.
That is all the pick they need to be able to force this one. BioPanther has ulti. Liss has no TP, but she's already here in the play. So 4 versus 5 at best is the hold. And Direwolves, they've held on for 53 minutes. Double super buffs. This may just be the end.
And BioPanther going gold for just a second, or excuse me, just getting his shield on. Corporal going to get caught up by the rest of Mammoth, but it doesn't seem to matter. Those towers are getting cut down like absolutely nothing here. And Mammoth fighting to the end, trying their hearts out, but they cannot find enough kills. Andrew and Corporal are down, and it doesn't matter. The Direwolves will cut down the last tower, end the game, and find themselves the first win of their split. They're getting cut down to size, though. I don't know,
Scion?
actually. Can they kill the Scion?
Oh, no!
He's so big, but is he big enough? Flashing for it. He wants this one, but he's going to go zombie mode. It's still not over. I can't believe it, Bryce. And it looks like they're going to just barely do it.
Look at Babip in his chair. That is the worst way to lose a game. BioPanther, first win of the split for the Direwolves. He hits a Nexus with his dead body. And somehow, that is the longest game we've had this split by far. Maybe the slowest game we've ever had in the OPL.
And the gold lead never really wavered here, Bryce. It's crazy, but look at the Wolves. They've been waiting for this for 3 weeks. Trust the process, they said. It definitely worked out. It was a slow one. It was an absolute grind. But you have to think, at the end of the day, the Direwolves stuck to their game plan and managed to get what was a long-awaited win.
Babip, level 2 solo kill onto Olaf.
Oh yeah, that happened today.
Today. Just like 55 minutes ago. Into Baron game, Elder game, double Elder game, Baron triple Elder game. Barely just ends. I thought they weren't going to end on that play. I thought this was going to be like
double,
the 4th
triple,
Elder.
Quadra. Yeah, that was
I
crazy.
genuinely, I was like, is the Scion passive going to get it? Is that enough?
There were more Barons than there were team fights.
Yeah, they were like, yes. That's disgusting. That was...
Yeah, slow game.
Yeah,
but
that was incredibly slow.
Yeah, I mean, but this Direwolves, like, they never gave an opening. I mean, there was one chance. I think that Mammoth nearly ended
Get
it.
back.
Get back.
Yeah, got bubbled,
Got completely
picked,
bopped.
And I thought that was lights out. Like, Baron goes to Mammoth, that's inhib gone, and they look to siege topside, but that could have been the play. But unfortunately, it just wasn't. But I want to reiterate, like, Direwolves, I feel like, have had an easy start to the split. They've played Legacy, they've played Gravitas, and they've played AV. Now they've beaten Mammoth, considered one of the top teams. This could be the turnaround.
I think so. Direwolves definitely looking like they have the tools to actually get it done, even if it takes a little bit of time for sure. Now, I want to hear what the Couch has to say about that one.
Oh my god. That was the best, worst game of League of Legends I've ever seen. Just before we get started, for context for you guys, most of the teams, the OPL teams, are in this building right now, and there's a bunch of Riot employees, there's all the people putting on the show. As that last, minute and a half of that game, the entire building was screaming. There's 3 levels here, and every floor, you could just hear groups of people scream, "Oh my god, what is that? Hit it! Go down mid!"
And it was a marathon, right? And it was like watching one of those marathon runners that had obviously hadn't picked up enough cups along the way and had their water, and they're stumbling.
Oh, the legs at the end.
Their legs are going all jolly. They're crawling across the line. But finally they got there. And I've always since the start of the season, you can question a lot of things about the Direwolves lineup, but structure, discipline, all those things I think are going to be unquestionable as the season progresses. Now, did that game have a lot of mistakes? Absolutely. Should they have played more aggressively? I was saying, if that was, one of our teams, especially because we're both very aggressive teams, we either have 40 deaths or 40 kills with that composition. There's just no way we're not grouping and running it up mid. But what you do have to applaud the young team in doing is that they really did look for their windows and they played patiently. And against someone like Mammoth, that's pretty difficult to do.
They legitimately did slow the game down to their pace, and there were moments, absolutely, and they'll be able to look at the VODs. They still got the win in the end, so they're happy, but they'll be able to look at the VODs and say, this is where we take fights instead. Recognize those windows better and be better in the future, but what matters for the Direwolves now is, while it was a marathon, while it was a slog, they did get the W.
And of course, this game happened after Fantix gives the interview at the top saying that Mammoth, at minimum, are going to take Split 1. Like, just the dramatic irony of that sort of...
And I want to talk about that, right? Because it's real. Like, I've been in kind of Fantix shoes, right? I put together Order last year. I thought I put together like one of the most promising, like rawly skilled, talented lineups like that had been in OS. And I think that a lot of the players were vocal about that. I think that one of the things that we really acknowledged towards the end of Split 1 and Split 2 is not skipping steps in the coaching process and making sure that you're like going back to square one and putting everyone on the same page. And every team is different. And even if players have played together before, you kind of have to rewrite the book every preseason because League of Legends changes so much. No. It's not like it's a basketball court or, a football oval where the game hasn't changed in 100 years and you're just looking at ways to like slightly tweak it. This game changes by like 5, 10, 15% every single patch. And, Silas coming out is a great example. Like, you pick him up against a team that you should just be mechanically better than. You introduce a variable into the game. You pick a tankless comp. In their week, in their show, their vlogs they did, Fantix said he has learnt that he needs to just pick easier to execute comps, and then they go pick this. This is one of the hardest comps to execute in the game. Like, it baffles me what Mammoth is doing at the moment.
Well, you called this out at the beginning in the draft, Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, the second I saw the draft, I legitimately said to you, Direwolves can probably win this game. I didn't expect it to be in this fashion, of course, but like when you compare the compositions, Sion, Lissandra, Olaf, very simple champions.
That's an order draft right there.
Very simple champions. We all know what they do. They press R and a team fights on. Kai'Sa then goes in, they clean up the fight, right? To pick the Silas, first of all, is hard to execute, requires a lot of comms with your team. Topun is the rookie of the team as well, so I'd say that's a difficult champion for him personally to go towards. I also don't think he built it perfectly. There were some changes he should be able to make in that build to optimize himself better, to be able to help the team. And like all of these things start to add up, and there's 1% here and there, and suddenly Direwolves are in the game.
And this season now, I mean, you don't want to call... it's week 3, right? And they could turn it around. Mammoth could still win this whole season. They're talented enough. They could go to MSI. They could have a great run. They could be the team that leads us through Rift Rivals. So I will say that at the top of it. You are hitting a panic button somewhere right now. In saying all of that, like, you cannot start this season 2-3 with a lineup like Mammoth. Fantix has won OPL championships himself, has been an MVP, is a good coach. Every single person I've ever spoken to that has been coached by Fantix has says he's a great coach. You've got legitimately 5 people on that team that are 1 or 2 in their role skill-wise, and then 4 of them have been to OPL finals in the last 6 months. Like, this is a team that is so damn stacked. And to be 2-3, like, I have no idea how they have started the season this poorly.
It's weird that my only conclusion to that is there's something about Fridays for Mammoth.
Freaky Friday, dude.
And so you were saying, Rusty, that Direwolves are going to go home this week and they're going to learn a lot from this game, and they're going to see a lot of opportunities that they could have taken, a lot of ways to improve.
Yeah.
It's a very good learning game from this. Besides team comp, what do you think this has done for Mammoth? Is this a blow? Because obviously they have an idea of the kind of team that they are. Is this a damaging blow or a pick yourself up and you can move on?
I think that, losing to AV was a blip on the radar. It was a wake-up call, you would say, for a lot of teams. Like, losing to someone you don't expect to lose to is that, oh, wait, we need to really switch on and be better. And then they did become better. And I think they started to, I'm not going to say get comfortable, but they were getting back into a rhythm. And then it happened again in week 2, and you're like, this is not very good. We need to fix this. And then it happens to a team that hasn't had a victory yet. I think this is the point where, like, you really start to get the mental concern in there on, like, how is this going to affect you?
And on the flip side, for Direwolves, this is exactly what they needed. Because
Sharp
and Charlie would have just been sitting there saying, please just trust the process. Trust that what we're teaching you week to week will eventually make you a better team. It might not be week 1, 2, or 3, but by week 6, week 7, this is going to start making sense. We can make a playoff run. To have success in week 3 for such a young lineup versus such a talented roster, it's just going to breathe. Like, I've seen it before in young teams. It's going to breathe so much confidence into them that their coaches have got it right.
100%.
So exciting the way that these best of ones are shaking up the ladder. And very quickly, before we came in here, this is a sweet little thing that I noticed. Direwolves are coming out of their room, getting ready to go in for the Mammoth handshake, and Get Back kind of charges in and grabs the door to go into Mammoth's room. And Biopanther grabs him and goes, wait, no, we got to wait till they lead us in. And he turns around and goes, what do you want from me? I've never won before. So he's in a very excited mood. It's a good way for him to start his weekend. And we'll be right back after this short break.